Hello, this is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, the political dragon. I'm happy to be here with you today. It is October 13th. That's right, Friday the 13th. It happens to be 6:30 in the evening, and I wanted to speak with you real quick about something that disturbed me a little bit. It's a question that we have. What's going on with the United States support of Israel? One of the things most people may not have noticed, the USS Eisenhower aircraft carrier group was scheduled to go into the Middle East this week. And this is a plan that's been around for roughly 2 years. They've been preparing for this trip. They've been in the Middle East before. They helped in fighting with Iraq and Iraq and Afghanistan. And so this is normal procedure. Everybody knew about it in the world, that this was going to happen. And then we saw Hamas commit its terrorist actions against the people of Israel, the people of the United States, of Nepal, of Germany, across the world. They were indiscriminately killing civilians and babies. Let's remember that. They killed babies because they wanted to commit genocide. That's what Hamas did. So the United States then came out and declared unequivocal support for the people of Israel and the rest of the world in defeating this genocide that was mandated by Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas. So the Eisenhower strike group were supposed to go out. We knew they were going out. We knew they were going to the Middle East anyway. And that would support the Gerald Ford, the strike group already there, the Sixth Fleet, which is already in the Middle East and is currently going to help and support Israel. But then this morning, news came out, very early this morning, about 10:30 in the morning, news came out that the USS Eisenhower, the strike group, was not going out. The Eisenhower was not going to be part of the strike group. They were not sending the aircraft carrier into the Middle East to support Israel and to make a show of force, as promised by the Biden-Harris administration. You don't have to take my word for it. This is from the United States Navy. This is from the news media telling us that they're not going to make it. They stated with clarity that the Eisenhower was not going to be part of the strike group, at least at this moment, that the rest of the strike group will go out, but the aircraft carrier, the most critical part of the support for Israel, of the major deterrence that aircraft carriers present, would be missing. And the thing that really got me about this news story in hearing this was this news piece coming out of 13 News out of Norfolk, Virginia. This very quick blurb, 30 seconds, and you'll miss it. And I want you to catch what she says at about the 28th second.
Well, now to new information from Naval Station Norfolk. Thousands of sailors on hold right now. The aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower is still in port. Now, the ship was supposed to deploy this morning, but did not. So officials told 13 News Now military reporter Mike Gooding this morning that the Eisenhower is not leaving right away. We don't know exactly what's causing this holdup, but we'll let you know when plans move forward again. The carrier strike group was set for its regularly scheduled deployment. The Navy says it's not direct.
And here it is. This is the part that caught my attention, and I think it should catch your attention. It's not that, as the rest of the media is reporting, as the rest of the news is putting out there, that, well, this was a regularly scheduled deployment. And at the last moment, this morning, the Eisenhower didn't go, and we don't know why. But the addition of this one statement by 13 News that no other media also included, the statement of saying the Navy has said that this is not directly in response to the conflict in Israel. And let's be correct, the conflict is Hamas attacking Israel, something that the news media, it seems, are afraid to mention, that Hamas attacked Israel. That being said, put that aside for a moment, but the Navy is saying this isn't directly related. So it is in some part related to Hamas It has something to do with Joe Biden's assurances, Antony Blinken's assurances, Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State for the United States, their assurances to Israel that we were going to be sending support, that we were going to have our military stand by, even as today, the 13th, is the International Day of Jihad. At least this is what Hamas and some of its leaders, former and current leaders, have asked for. This is what we have seen from radical, fanatical, religious individuals have called for an international attack against people for the purpose of genocide, of removing people because of their belief in a religion that does not match with the Ayatollah in Iran, that does not match with their skewed view of Islam. And I really had to stop and wonder. Now, it's been several hours. The initial news came out at 10:30. The follow-up news that you see here came out 4 hours ago. And to this moment, there is no answer on this. There's speculation, and we've heard from individuals who are doing the job for the news reporters that have contacted us and said, well, no, it's not a big deal. A piece broke on the Eisenhower, and that's why it couldn't leave. Except there is no news source for that. The mainstream news media, the Navy, have not reported that. And again, it seems a bit odd. They broke a necessary and essential piece of equipment in the morning just before they took off. They do inspections. At least they did when I was in the Marine Corps. And we have IG inspections. Before we would have a deployment, everything would have been inspected. Everything would have been checked. Is it impossible for something to break on an aircraft carrier that is essential? No. Maybe a computer screen blew out, a computer chip burned, and that happened, and it had to be replaced. Okay, that could happen. But again, the words from the Navy were not directly connected to Hamas attacking Israel. So what piece on the aircraft carrier broke that is essential for Hamas, or in defeating Hamas in their attack against Israel to prevent genocide around the world? That's not very clear. And again, that's not from the Navy. The Navy didn't say that. What's happening here? Is the Biden-Harris administration getting cold feet? Is Antony Blinken, his declaration, his statement going over to the Middle East, was that just a big bluff? Did Antony Blinken go over to Israel to try and have backdoor deals with Hamas, much like the Biden-Harris administration did in getting hostages, their prisoners, U.S. citizens that were unjustly imprisoned in Iran, and they made a deal, which was part of the Iran nuclear deal, with $6 billion going to Iran to help fund the very acts of terror we see happening right now. Is that why Antony Blinken was there? Is that why the Eisenhower isn't joining the Sixth Fleet in being able to protect Israel? It's a question. It's a question we need an answer for. But sadly, it's Friday the 13th. That means this is going to be swept under a rug, and you're not supposed to ask about it. You're not supposed to think about it. But I think we really need to. We need to make sure that our position is clear for everyone in the world. And when we say we're going to put our full support behind our allies, that we actually do it. But what do you think? This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you today. Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, admitted he has not read the Arizona immigration law. I know it is a difficult task to stand up in front of our peers and say to Congress and say that Congress has failed to listen to voters.
You here at CPAC said yes to President Donald Trump in 2016, and I know you're going to say yes to.
She was very aware that she had the flag in her hands and that the flag was dragging on the ground. That is an intentional action. She knows what she is doing. She then drops the flag. Understand the logic, and we see this in social media on a regular basis, and it's something that Newsweek decided not to tell you about. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a representative in Congress who is writing laws to deny American citizens their rights, has no idea what she's talking about. And they are against the vaccine mandate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you support that?
Last time I checked, there were not a lot of planes crashing into each other at airports, right? You can meet a very, very stringent accuracy rate when it's important, when it matters, like in federal elections.
The quote from Joe Biden where he is admitting that he is willing to lie to the American people.